Welcome to the nation's capital. I'm at the National Gallery of Art because I wanted to see how some very famous paintings maybe could be paired with some wine. Well, let's see what I come up with. Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's episode. I had a great time at the National Gallery of Art, as I always do, and I had this idea, why don't I look at some paintings and think of what wines would be good to have, or at least would remind me of these certain very famous paintings, and bring back some fond memories. That was a fun challenge, and I can't wait to show you what I came up with. And if you stay till the end, if you remember the Beaujolais Nouveau episode I did back in November, and I told you about an experiment, well, I did the experiment, and I'll let you know how it turned out. Well, let's take a look at our very first wine from Champagne, France. So the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. is very special to me. It reminds me when we first moved to this area and my wife was in law school and I had a lot of free time to go and look at the beautiful works of art at the National Gallery of Art. And you know, I've been to so lucky, I've been to some world famous museums all across the world, and our National Gallery of Art really stands out as being a just preeminent, fantastic museum. So if you get a chance and you're in Washington, D.C., please check out the National Gallery of Art. So for our first wine, as I was walking down the French sections, and I saw Jean-Honoré Fragonard's Young Girl Reading. And it's just a beautiful painting. I'll put some information about it in the description box. But he was known for these just beautiful, airy brushstrokes and vivid colors, especially in this painting. And I was looking at the pillow she was leaning up against in this just beautiful hue of rose. And I thought, you know, that just makes me think of a French rosé champagne of all things, but that was my point. Looking at the paintings and thinking what wine would sort of complement or at least bring memories to that. So it's a fun exercise and it's a great excuse to go drink some French champagne, right? So the one I chose, it's beautiful color. It's the Montaudon Grand Rosé Brut, and it's just a stunner. Very, very nice. Reminds me of fresh raspberries and strawberries, some beautiful fine bubbles. Very aromatic. It was delicious with the pate that we had it with, but the winery recommends fresh goat cheese and even tuna sashimi. And because I think it'd be great just by itself, they recommend having it with a dessert that has fresh raspberries. And oh, I can see why. It would go well with all of those. So it's a little bit of a splurge. It's around the $40 mark at Total Wine & More. But if you're having an anniversary or, you know, a birthday party or you want to give it as a gift, it's very impressive. It comes in a beautiful pink box. And, you know, it's interesting. This winery's been around since about, in the late 1800s. And Josephine Baker, very famous in the 20s in Paris, was known for picking this champagne for her club. And she said she wanted a very first-class champagne to serve to all her guests. So she picked the Montaudon. What a great pick. So I think this is just a wonderful wine. Reminded me of the painting, and it was just a great excuse to drink it. Let me know if you like it, and I think you will. So our second wine is a Bordeaux. And if you've seen my shows, I think you have a pretty good idea. I'm a very big fan of Bordeaux's. And I'm drinking them a lot right now because it's winter. And the sort of robust structure in Bordeaux's just goes so well with winter foods, roasts and stews and braises. So I've been enjoying a lot of those and I wanted to share them with you. That was as I was walking through the gallery. How did I get to this Bordeaux? Well, I looked at Auguste Renoir's Pont Neuf. Wonderful painting. Again, the link is below so you could see it with me. And Pont Neuf in Paris is actually the oldest bridge, even though Pont Neuf means new bridge. And it's one of my favorite places in Paris. Every time I go, I head there with a sandwich in hand because there's a little park at the end of this area, a little point called Place de Vert Galant. And it's just one of my most magical places in Paris. So I always look forward to going there. What's interesting, and you're probably wondering, well, the painting of a bridge, why did that make you think of Bordeaux? Well, it's because when I am in Paris and I go to all the bistros or any restaurant I go to, I pretty much stick to the Bordeaux because they have so many great ones that we don't always get out here. So that's sort of what made me think of Bordeaux and the Renoir's Pont Neuf painting. It's an interesting story about the painting that's in the National Gallery website. And it talks about how his brother Edmund gave him a hand because the painter went up and rented a room that overlooked the bridge, but he saw people were too static and he wanted to get some movement. And of course he's an impressionist, so he wanted to get some movement and the light on the bridge at midday. So he asked his brother to go talk to people, but make them stand there for a little bit, talk to you, so I could capture them. So it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful work of art and brings back a lot of happy memories for me, the Pont Neuf. So I'm looking at this Bordeaux, and I want to tell you just a little bit about not only this one, about Bordeaux in general. This one's from Graves, and that is on the left bank. And you may have heard people talk about left bank Bordeaux and right bank Bordeaux. Well, a really maybe easy way to think of it is the left bank Bordeaux, like this Graves, is usually going to have Cabernet Sauvignon and some other grapes, right? It could have 4 grapes, it could have another grape. This one happens to be Merlot, so it's mostly Cab and has some Merlot. But that whole area, all of Bordeaux are going to be blends. Very much like the Champagne we were looking at in the earlier painting. The Champagne from Montaudon, the Grand Rosé, is also a blend. It's a blend of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier. And what was special about this one and gave it that beautiful rose hue is because they also added some Pinot Noir wine to it. And you can really tell it's just a fantastic blend. So back to our Bordeaux. This one is just beautiful. It's a 2016. And it's around the $25 mark, but just a beautiful, deep plum and black currant and dark fruit. It has a little bit of tannin to it. It is a 2016. I decanted it for about 30 minutes, which is simply pouring it in your glass and going on with your evening and coming back to it after about 30 minutes. And it seemed to be fine, but it would definitely age, I'm sure. And it just received a 92 points in Wine Spectator. And for the $25 range at Total Wine & More, wow, what a great find. And it was good for me. I find I was sticking to the right bank Bordeaux. So the right bank tends to be very Merlot heavy, but it's still going to be a blend. So this one was nice for me. It's our new year, getting out of my box. I got to try a different Bordeaux. I have never had a Graves before. So what a delicious find. It's nice to kind of push ourselves sometimes. And I got to go to the National Gallery of Art, one of my favorite places. And I enjoy my membership so much. So Auguste Renoir and a little Bordeaux while looking at Pont Neuf. It's pretty nice. As promised, you stayed till the end, so I want to tell you about the experiment. So back when I was talking about Beaujolais Nouveaux, remember those wines are fresh and young. They come out in November, and boy, just drink them. Don't wait too long. But I wanted to do an experiment with the Rosé Beaujolais Nouveaux that I was so excited to find last year. And so there's a 2019 and a 2018. Well, it was the 2018 that I bought so much of. I had one bottle left over, and I thought, well, let's just see how it ages after a year compared to the 2019, which was delicious. We just had this, maybe a month ago. Bright, fresh fruit, lots of strawberries, and it was just delicious. Went very well with the roast chicken. Wonderful. If they still have some left, you can drink the 19. Don't buy the 18. So it did not age very well. It was even interesting to see how this is a very light pink, and this was a light pink when I bought it. But after a year, it became pretty dark. Not too dark, but pretty dark. Now, as you can tell, we did drink them, but the 2018 wasn't bad, but it just didn't age well, right? So it lost its freshness. It wasn't vibrant. It didn't smell like fresh fruit anymore. It was a little bit more stewed fruit, or if you were smelling jelly or jam, but not bad, but definitely not worth drinking. We just did pretty much a glass to see what it was like, and then the rest I deposited somewhere else. But the 2019 was fresh. So the rule of thumb about Beaujolais Nouveaux, both the rosé version and the red wine version, don't age very well because they're not meant to age very well. So enjoy them when they're young, within 6 months or so, and you'll be very happy. So, well, we learned things, and that's kind of nice. Thank you so much for being such great loyal subscribers. I look forward to this new year, exploring some new wines, some new areas, and we'll explore the world of wine together. And thank you for sharing with your friends and family and coworkers. It means a lot to me. So until next time, everyone, cheers.